Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Sportsbook Confidential. My name is John Sullivan, and I'm coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. And this little show here is to help you learn and grow as a sports bettor. And it's my favorite time of year. Football is finally in full swing. Excuse me. We're going to talk a lot about college. We're going to talk about NFL and CFL all together. I decided not to add the fantasy in this week just because we've got too much content to fit in half an hour. So hopefully we can stretch our show out longer at some point. But we're going to preview the AFC East, the last division of our NFL preview over the last 8 weeks. And we're going to get to talk about the Patriots, the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins. So let's get to it as we always do. We start by updating my bankroll. And finally had a winning week. We had 4 losing weeks in a row, and it was very frustrating. But we managed a winning week. Both of our CFL picks hit. The Eskimos over was a winner for us, plus $16 to the bankroll. The Argonauts under was a winner for us on the last play of the game. They had the ball on the 1-yard line, and they needed a touchdown, and they didn't get it. So we won $15 added to our bankroll there. And then last night we had the Cincinnati Bearcats against UCLA, -3. That was a winner for us, plus $16. And then we had Georgia Tech, plus 35.5. That actually got as high as 37, but they put their second string in pretty early. What I mean by that is Georgia Tech put their second string in early in the third quarter. And they did manage to score 14 points, but they gave up 52. So that did not work. And then the BYU Cougars lost at home to Utah. Utah looked very impressive. It was not close, but the difference was 3 turnovers to none. And if you don't turn the ball over, you have a very high percentage of winning the game. So if you do the math, the profit is $13. Doesn't seem like a lot, but if you did that every week, your profit, the dollar amount will get higher and higher because your bets will be larger and larger. So I would take that every week. New bankroll, $537. Bet size dividing by 30, as we always do because we're selective sports bettors. Makes the bet size 18 going forward into this week. So nice to start upward with the bankroll. Let's continue that trend, hopefully, as we move along into the football season. So as I said previously, we are previewing the AFC East, our last division preview, and that contains the New England Patriots, the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills, and the Miami Dolphins. And very interesting this year. We're on the East Coast, and there's a lot of Bills and Jets fans and Patriots. There's Patriots fans everywhere, I guess. But let's start with the Patriots. And right off the bat, you look at the regular season win total over under 11 wins. Boy, that's pretty high. Tom Brady's 42 years old. He takes good care of himself. Regression has to happen at some point. Is it going to be at 42? Is it going to be at 45? I don't know. He had 1 year where he went out for the season on the first series of the first quarter of the year. So things could happen. To win the AFC East, they're prohibitive favorites, -539. I don't believe it's worth tying up your money for 17 weeks on those types of odds. To win the AFC, plus 340 or 3.4 to 1, not very attractive. And to win the Super Bowl, a little better than 7 to 1. The issues for this team, obviously, is tight end with Gronkowski retiring. Ben Watson is suspended. Their top player on the depth chart, the tight end, is injured. The Patriots always find a way. They always find a serviceable personnel, but they have their top 3 receivers are very good receivers. It's just without that tight end, it makes pass coverage a lot easier if the tight end is not part of their offense. So it'd be interesting to see how they handle that. And the secondary, of course, Patrick Chung was arrested on cocaine possession, and they're just very thin and old in the defensive secondary. And it makes me feel like they're going to give up a lot of points this year. I will, it'd be interesting to see how the totals come during the season. But if you have a good offense going against a good passing offense going against the Patriots, you might look to take the over on those games. So we'll see how that shakes out. But Vegas thinks, or not Vegas, but bookmakers think that they are prohibitive favorites to win the division and the conference. So let's move on to the second favorite, believe it or not, is the New York Jets. And their regular season win total is 7. And that's kind of about where I think this team is, 7-9. I don't really, that's not an attractive bet to me. So I would just pass on that. To win the AFC East, 565 or 5.6 to 1. I don't see it. I just don't see it. Darnold's going to have some great games, and he's going to have some awful games. And Le'Veon Bell better be healthy. If he gets hurt, their running game goes to poo-poo, and it's going to be a long season. To win the AFC, 35 to 1. To win the Super Bowl, 63 to 1. Issues, we have tight end is another issue with this team. Once again, you have a good set of receivers and then nobody at the tight end. They have two of their top 3 tight ends on the depth chart are injured or suspended. So, and the right side of the offensive line, the starting right guard and right tackle are injured, and they only have 3 other players on their entire current roster, and they haven't cut it down yet, that play the right side of the line. So that's bad news. I mean, that's bad news for Darnold's protection and for run blocking for Le'Veon Bell. So you hope they get healthy. I don't want anybody to see anybody hurt, but they're going to either have to sign some extra linemen to the practice squad or something, because it's going to be all hands on deck for them. And then moving on to the Buffalo Bills, and this team has, I think, tremendous value in the betting world. First of all, you look at the regular season win total, 6.5. If this team goes 7-9, which would probably be underachieving for the Bills, that it still puts you over 6.5. I think that's a must bet unless the odds are too heavy. I've seen that juiced pretty heavily. So, make sure the odds are attractive if you're going to make that bet. To win the AFC East, it's just a shade under 10 to 1. And that I think the Bills are the second choice in the division as I see it. I think they're better than the Jets. They have a better overall team. They have they have a similar offense. The Bills are lacking in the receiver department, but then they have a surplus, a wealth of embarrassment of riches of running backs right now. Who knows if there'll be some trades. To win the AFC, 47 to 1, and to win the Super Bowl, 116 plus to 1. Very juicy odds if you're a believer, but I don't think they're ready to do the World Championship thing yet. But I think a playoff spot could be a reality for the Bills this year. Josh Allen, even if Josh Allen goes down for a few games, you got Matt Barkley is I think an acceptable replacement level player. The receiving core, John Brown's their number 1, and after that it's kind of a mishmash, and the tight end is a question mark. But they have 5 decent running backs. And the other issue for me, their defense is, on paper, it's just going to be stout. It's going to be one of the best defenses in the league. They're deep at the line. They're deep at linebacker. They're deep at secondary. The other issue for me is the place kicking. Steve Hauschka has been with the Bills for a few years now. Before that, he was with the Seahawks. In his heyday, he hit 50 yards regularly. I don't think he has that range anymore, and I think pretty much anything outside of 42 yards is going to be tough for him. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like they might lose a game or two on a field goal, either missed at the end or missed during, at some point during the game. So that, I think, is the Achilles heel, no pun intended, for the Bills, and maybe they might have another kicker on the practice squad. It might not be a bad idea. But I like the Bills. I think there's a lot of value there. We'll see how they shape up. They have a fairly decent, easy schedule the first few weeks, so it's not like there's going to be high expectations for them. But if they get 4-1, 5-1 to start the season, boy, the odds on them are really going to tank. So let's move on to the Miami Dolphins, who are probably considered to be one of the worst, along with maybe the Cardinals, projected teams in the NFL this year. Regular season win total, that should be 4.50, 4.5. That's, I think the over on that is doable too. This team is still a professional football team, and they play in a division with, supposedly only one superpower in the Patriots. So that means they get 4 other division games. And also, by the way, the last year's Dolphins beat the Patriots, albeit on a crazy couple of plays. But they get 4 division games against teams that they should be competitive with, and they get strength of schedule, for being a weak team last year. So the Ryan Tannehill era is over. You have Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen as the 2 quarterbacks in Miami. I don't think the 2-headed quarterback is a good idea in this situation. If one player is not doing well, it's going to be rotating quarterbacks all year, and it's not going to be good for either quarterback. It's kind of Fitzpatrick's last hurrah. He's been in the league, 10 years or more, and he's been with 5 or 6 teams, and he's always been a mid-level NFL quarterback, and he'll have games where he's fabulous and games where he's awful. And Rosen has not proven himself, and would turn out to be a steal if he does develop. But I was not sold on him when coming out of college, and I don't think he really got a fair shake in Arizona, but he's going to have to prove himself, and I don't think he's as good as he was drafted to be. So we'll see what happens there. So to win the AFC East, they're 50-1 just to win the division. So stranger things have happened, but boy, those are big odds. But I couldn't take it. To win the AFC, 136-1. Seems to me that this is not a playoff team. To win the Super Bowl, 186-1. I think they are the longest shot to win the Super Bowl currently at the Sportsbook. There may be one other team lower than them, but I'm pretty sure they're the longest shot to win the Super Bowl. So obviously issues we talked about, quarterback, and then we have running back. Kenyon Drake has some lingering health issues, and it's uncertain if his understudy is going to be ready. Obviously, just to be in this league, you have to be very talented. And if the offensive line is as good as it was last year, a healthy running back could gain some very good yards here. Linebacker depth, you've got some injuries in the linebacker and quarterback. So I think this team is going to have a good pass rush, but is going to give up a lot of points. We'll see what happens, but looks to be a long year for the Miami Dolphins. So that's it for our AFC East preview. We've previewed all the teams, and the NFL regular season starts next Thursday. So as of today, they can start cutting players, getting down to their 47-man roster. and I think it's 53 with a practice squad. I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are, but a lot of players are going to get cut and picked up by other teams, and there might be a few trades, so keep an eye on all that. We'll get back to the NFL before the show's over, but let's move on to college football. And I picked out about 16 games for this weekend out of, I believe there's 38 games that the Sportsbook offers. There are some competitive games that I did not list here. I tried to list the games that are the more well-known teams that were not, cupcake games. So let's go through these. And I used my model to come up with projected spread and total and compare that to what the Sportsbook is offering. So the numbers in parentheses are what my model predicts. So we can go on our hunt for value. So we're going to start with these first three games are on Friday night. Wisconsin at South Florida. South Florida getting 11 points, 58 is the total. And I have Wisconsin as the 13.05 point favorite. 54.97 is the total. Not a whole lot of value there, but you have to like Wisconsin. South Florida has been a rebuilding program, and they've gotten a little bit better every year over the last few years. Tall order for their opening game. Colorado State versus Colorado. The rivalry game played at a neutral field. I assume it's Mile High. Colorado minus 13.5, 56 is the total. And I only have them as a 7.83 point favorites. And I have a very similar total. So Colorado State is getting tremendous value here, almost a whole touchdown. Or almost a whole 6 points, I should say. The Mountain West Conference is very highly rated in my system, in my formulas, and there's another Mountain West game that I forgot to put in the cards we're going to talk about, but I think there's really good value on Colorado State there. Oklahoma State at Oregon State. Oregon State plus 13.5, 72 is the total. I have Oklahoma State as 17.35 point favorite, 72 is the total. So the Cowboys, good offensive team, good offensive structure, going to Oregon State and will probably dominate. I wouldn't touch that total, but they are a high-powered offense. So for them to cover 13.5, not a big deal. Ole Miss at Memphis. You got Memphis taking on an SEC team, but Memphis is projected to be very good this year. Minus 4.5 at home, 65 is the total. And we have Memphis as an 8-point favorite, 72 the total. So my model thinks it's going to go way over 65, but you're also getting 3.5 extra points if you're taking Memphis according to my model. So I think that line will move to 5 maybe, or maybe even 6 before the game starts. Ole Miss is expected to have a difficult year. They are an SEC team, and to play, that's considered the best of the best in college football. Boise State at Florida State, minus 6.5, 53. Of course, this game was moved from Jacksonville to Florida State. Boise State, I expect, again, Mountain West team. I have Florida State as a 1.2 point favorite, 51 is the total. So you're getting about 5 points if you take Boise State according to my model. You're getting plus 6.5 with Boise State. So that's I don't feel confident enough in that game to take that. I think there's better value on the board here, but it's one to consider for sure. Duke versus Alabama, neutral field. I think it's the Georgia Dome. Minus 22.5, 56 is the total. I have Alabama as a 23.37 point favorite, 61.82 is the total. So my prediction is it'll go over the total, and it's pretty much right where the line is supposed to be. So I would pass on that. And then Northwestern at Stanford. Stanford minus 6.5. I have them as 5.49 point favorites. Total's about right on where it's supposed to be. And we've got some more games. Let's take a look at those. We have Virginia Tech at BC. BC plus 4.5, yet I have BC as a 2-point favorite. So that's a 6.5 point swing. And 58 is the total. That's right on to where my model says it should be. So BC's looking like a sleeper pick for me there. You might, Virginia Tech has been predominantly a good football team for many years. But BC hasn't been improving, and it'll be interesting to see where that line ends up. Syracuse at Liberty. Liberty is plus 18. 68 is the total. I have Syracuse as 20.32 point favorite, 66.09. So Syracuse, a heavy favorite here. Don't know if they'll cover 18 points. Unfortunately for us, if we're betting at our local casino here in New York, we are not allowed to bet on New York college teams, so Syracuse would not be available, as would Army would not be available. Then we got a big game, Oregon versus Auburn in a neutral field in Dallas. -4, Auburn is the favorite, and I have them as minus 5.86, 5.66 point favorites. 56 is the total. I have a little bit under that at 54. And then we got Georgia opening their SEC schedule at Vanderbilt, and 22-point underdog Vandy is. 58 is the total. I have Georgia as 15.9 point favorites, and 57 is the total. But Georgia's the number 3 ranked team in the country. What happened to Virginia Tech last night could happen here. The model says, the bad team is not as bad as the market's making it out to be. But you have to deal. The model doesn't always consider when a team gives up, as Georgia Tech did last night. So they said, uncle, and they put in their underlings. And when you're relying on second team versus second team, the model's not predictive at all. So you have to consider those types of things. Virginia at Pitt, another ACC game. Pitt plus 3 at home, 46.5. Again, I have Pitt as a 2.8 point favorite. 47.86 is the total, and they're getting 3 points. Boy, that sure looks like a good bet to me. Virginia has always been a good defensive team. But, boy, I sure like Pitt at home there. That's one I'm keeping an eye on. And, hey, my alma mater, Louisiana Tech, at Texas. 20.5 point favorites, 55.5. I have Texas as 23.17 point favorites. 52.04 is the total, so I'm leaning under on that game. Louisiana Tech actually has had very good defenses under Skip Holtz. Their offense may need some work. I don't expect them to be competitive, but I do think the under's in play there. And then on Monday night, we've got Notre Dame at Louisville. Louisville getting 18 points. 54 is the total. Notre Dame I have as a 24-point favorite. 55.5 is the total, so the total's right there. It's really hard to lay 18 points for me. I don't see that. That's counting on Notre Dame winning by three to four scores. And they may very well do that, but it's just not something that I'm used to doing. There's one game I forgot to put up on the screen that I'm going to mention, and that is Fresno State at USC. Fresno State, USC is 13.5 point favorites. The total's 52.5, and my model has USC as a 1 point favorite, and Fresno State is the odds-on favorite to win the Mountain West. Very good team. They have a traditional rival game with USC every year, and they usually are competitive to the spread. I'll put it that way. They're not always competitive to the game, but I actually think this year that Fresno has a shot at this game, and I really like Fresno State plus the points there. So we will get to our picks in a few minutes. But before we do that, let's move on to the college, to CFL. And they don't have any games till Monday or Tuesday, or Sunday and Monday. The Labor Day games, Blue Bombers at Rough Riders, minus 5.5, 48 is the total. Blue Bombers running back Andrew Harris was suspended for performance-enhancing drugs for 2 games. Not a big deal, but this game, I'm not touching it. There's just too many variables that are unusual. And then on Monday, you have the 2 Labor Day games, the Argonauts and the Tiger Cats in the Labor Day Classic. Tiger Cats minus 11, 51.5. So I really think that this opened at minus 12, and the Argonauts' offense was getting better every week. But the Tiger Cats' defense is great. Their offense is stinky. So I think 11, 12 points, the Argos is the way to go with a plus 12. But I really think 51.5 under is here. Tiger Cats won in BC last week 13-10. And I would expect another type of game where you're not going to get more than 21 points out of the Tiger Cats, and you're certainly not going to get 30 out of the Argonauts. So I look at that as an under. And then the Eskimos at the Stampeders, Bo Levi Mitchell is back. So I don't know about the spread, but I'm over on this game all day. Over 47.5. He brings another level to that team. He's the best quarterback when healthy in the CFL. So that's your CFL games. And then finally, we have next Thursday our very first NFL game. And I know the cuts haven't happened yet, but next Thursday we've got the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears, minus 3, 46.5. 45-46 is the average total in an NFL game, depending on how the scoring is that year. Sometimes there's rule changes to make the scoring go up, and sometimes the scoring goes down. But 45 is kind of where you go, and if the scoring is up, 46 is an average total. If you go down, 44 is an average total. But you kind of like the over here. Both of these offenses are good, but the Bears' defense is so good. The Bears are competitive in the offensive phase. They're superior in the defensive phase. They're superior in the special teams phase. They have best returners. They hopefully have good kickers now. And I feel like the Bears minus 3 is a gimme here. I'm actually going to go bet this at the casino after the show today. I expect it to go to minus 3.5 or minus 4. I know you can get alternate numbers. You can buy the half point or whatever. But right now it's minus 3, and I would take it today. And you can certainly, through your Sportsbook, you can certainly get whatever amount you feel comfortable with there. So to finish everything up, we are going to go with my picks. And I've got 6 plays today because we got a plethora of football this weekend. We're going to start with Boston College, plus 4.5, minus 107, hosting Virginia Tech. And then we've got another ACC game, Pitt, plus 3, minus 105, hosting Virginia. Like both of those games. And Fresno State, plus 13.5 at USC, minus 107. And then I got 2 CFL picks. We got the Argos and the Ticats, under 51.5, minus 108. And then Eskimos and Stampeders, over 47.5, minus 108. And then on Thursday, we have the Bears, minus 3, minus 106. So we're hoping for another winning week. Sorry I started late. Thanks for tuning in today. Got all those NFL previews out of the way. We're going to have a big slate of NFL next week. More college football. Of course, I always look in on the CFL. So and then hopefully we can start having some guests again. So thanks for watching. I'm going to play the outro music. So let's get ourselves some winners. Take care, everybody.